Hey guys, this is your host Eric. Today we are going to watch action genre movie called Red 2. Spoilers ahead, turn on your subtitle, I greatly appreciate your support. Enjoy the video. This Asian assassin is on another level. We see him enter a room bare-chested. His weapon has been confiscated by security so that he does not try anything unusual with just a piece of paper. He has the ability to shape it into a pointy object. He successfully completes his mission and his target after performing a quick Asian ninja-like move. This time it's Frank, a retired CIA agent who is enjoying his retirement with his new wife, Sarah. Marvin then appears and informs him that there is someone out there looking to whack him. After leaving the supermarket, Frank tells him that he is delusional and to leave them alone. At the funeral, Frank witnesses Marvin's car blow up in front of their eyes. Frank looks at Marvin's coffin and wonders if he is truly playing dead as his specialty, so he tests it with a needle turnout. He is truly gone. Despite knowing it, Frank refuses to accept his comrade's death. While delivering it, the guy finally burst into tears. The funeral is coming to an end. He is quickly confronted by 3 government agents. He agrees to accompany them in order to ensure Sarah's safety. At an FBI Yankee White facility, government agents question Frank. The facility is then ambushed by corrupt agent Jack Horton and a team of private military contractors. During the interrogation, Jack appears and murders the majority of the facility's personnel. He wants Frank to give him the information he requires, but Frank is unsure what they require. However, Jack was not convinced. He threatens to torture Sarah unless Frank provides him with the information he requires. Frank became enraged. He smashed the desk with his bald head before beating the crap out of the agent nearby. He grabbed one of the guys and used him as bait while heading. Fortunately, he avoided the shot that was zoned into a corner. An agent was about to kill him when Marvin appeared from the dead to save him. The two flee quickly and then go on the run with Sarah to figure out what is going on. They go find a high-ranking officer to question. He reveals that Marvin and Frank were being pursued because they were listed as participants in a covert operation known as Night. During the Cold War, the operation was carried out in order to smuggle a nuclear weapon into Russia. Piece after piece, he also reveals that the nuclear weapon was created by a scientist on the operation that failed. For the next 30 years, the weapon vanished. However, someone recently posted on the internet that Frank and Marvin were involved in the operation because that weapon is something that every government desires. They quickly became a prime target. Nobody can have it if the United States cannot. Frank and Marvin need to find out who is doing this, who Guy is, and what his goal is. Frank then recalls one particular individual, dubbed the Frog. He used to kill a lot of people with a lethal chemical substance. The group discovered his location. He gets ready to fly to France. Victoria is currently being sought by an agent. Activate the MI6. He also wants to whack Marvin and Frank, but he has no idea Victoria and Frank are old friends. She called Frank to tell him about the MI6 who was stalking him while dumping acid into the bathtub. The Asian man hired by the CIA as Han is the one who assassinates the old man earlier in the firm with a piece of paper. The security guard is unaware that his boss is present. He then gets another phone call. Frank is the target this time. He was bored on his private jet, then arrived at a hotel where Frank had stayed, but the room was empty. Frank fell a little bit hurt when his jet was stolen. He vowed vengeance after Frank stole his toy. While Frank and Sarah are here, they are taking advantage of a free trip to France. However, when they arrived, they were greeted by a group of mafia-looking dudes. A woman appeared out of nowhere and kissed Frank. Sarah just stands there dumbfounded. What happened to the F-bro? I'm Frank XGF. Kaya Petrovich is a Russian secret agent. Frank will need Kaya's assistance to find the frog. This clearly irritated Sarah. While Frank insisted that it had to be done with her assistance, they discovered the frog in a restaurant. He is, however, very self-aware. Throw a knife in Sarah's face as soon as possible. Fortunately, Frank is nearby. The frog then draws his gun and begins shooting, creating a chaotic scene. He stole a bike and then ran away. Kaya arrived just in time to pick up Frank, and the two pursue the frog to whoop his ass. Then Sarah desires some action. Begin joining Marvin on a wild goose chase. However, they eventually collide with a new paper shot. Sarah pursued the frog through a narrow alley, then came. To irritate them, Frog flashes a peace sign. Unfortunately for him, Frank arrived just in time and knocked him out. Sarah's sipping blood boils when she sees Katia laughing with Frank. The gang then drags Frank to his house and begins questioning him. They tried several methods, but none of them worked on him. Even smashing his favorite bottle didn't get him to talk. Sarah then has a brilliant idea. She made the decision to put her girl trapping ability to the test. Feeling a woman's touch for the first time, the frog became a little horny, then gave her. That night, Sarah triumphed over Kaya. Kaya pays Frank a visit and asks him out. Frank, toss a coin with Kaya, then die. Frank had no idea Kaya's loyalty was to the Russian government, so a nuclear device is obviously something they would want as well. After being returned to the hotel, she took the device key with her. Witnessing Frank is out of it, Sarah slaps him and swears at him to wake him up. "Weasel, get up." What happened to the key? Fortunately for them, Marvin, the smartest guy in the group, swapped the key before it was stolen. On their way to the bank, Frank and Marvin were ambushed. Han is holding his Gatling gun. He opened fire wildly, sending Frank and Marvin fleeing for their lives. "Where is my jet, bitch?" she yelled. Marvin recalls having a grenade at the time. He destroys a car. The two then flee through the sewer. They eventually arrive at the bank. Because of the key, Kanja was arrested right away. Then look into the file. They discovered he is hiding in England. On their way, they saw Victoria walk out onto the main road, teeth clenched. She blows up their car in order to create a false evidence for her boss. She then joins them in the process, disguises herself as a crazy woman, knocks out the doctor, and disguises herself as a doctor again to further infiltrate the facility. They reveal an inner secret. There are many equations written around the room, as well as an old man. During Operation Nightshade, it was he who invented the nuclear device. Edward Bailey is his name. He is not only alive, but he is also being held captive by the British. Victoria electrocutes him after realizing he's a nut job so Frank can take him. During this, Victoria is captured from behind. As part of his claim, Frank travels to Russia with Edward. On their way, the weapon is kept here. The Asian boy intercepted them. The Russian police were also given their due. Frank took advantage of the situation and bound Ha up. The group then stands in front of the Kremlin, unaware that the most lethal weapon on the planet is hidden right there in the Russian capital. During the Cold War, they dug an underground tunnel beneath the Edward command. Finally, they arrived at the device's location, which was located beneath the tunnel. After 30 years, it is still in effect. Although it appears to be a couple of small tubes, it is actually more lethal than a dozen nuclear bombs. The Russian along Kaja arrived after retrieving the device to confiscate it. Frank, on the other hand, tries to persuade Kaya to switch sides by using his charming bald head. Kaya gradually softened. She agrees to accompany Frank. That was lightning fast. They take refuge in an abandoned house. Marvin was about to eat a cake when Sarah pointed out that it was out of date. Marvin then responded, "Honey, this is made." Frank received a call from Victoria before the term expiry date was even coined. She then tells Frank everything. Edward is a rat who wants the device for himself. He's a nutcase. Frank, upon hearing this and seeing Edward was pointing a gun at him, explains that year he was able to obtain. Not only does the government imprison him for 32 years, but it also murders his family. He devised this plan to repay the United States for their actions. He threatens Frank while removing the device. The agent from the United States then arrives to pick up the processor. Edward fatally shot Kaya on the spot, blaming them for the crime. The Russian arrives quickly, but Victoria is there to support them. They flew to Iran in search of the device. As it turns out, Edward planned to launch World War III by nuking London and then blaming Iran. The group gathered quickly to stop Edward. Over here, Edward is dispersing a poisonous chemical to incapacitate the guard. Except for him, everyone else on the plane died from choking. He took control of the plane before grabbing the device. Behind Frank at this point, and they will soon be at odds. There are no winners because they were fairly equal. Frank then makes a proposal. Billions of innocent lives are in danger, so please join me in saving them. Hannah used to be one of the best agents as well, but after being fucked by Frank, he became one. Even though he's angry, the guy just wants some attention from Frank. He still caves in and assists Frank. They all then travel to London. However, when they arrived at the Iranian ambassador, they discovered that all of the guards had died while the device was counting down. They dragged the device with them rather than with them. The guard takes notice of them. The two sides then exchange fire in a chaotic scene. Sarah was kidnapped by Edward. According to Edward, everything is going well. Plan is for Marvin to bring the bomb out of the embassy, and then they will steal a helicopter to flee. Victoria and Hannah are chasing Edward in a car. There are even a couple of police cars with Hollywood plot armor in front of them. They do a badass scene in which Victoria kills all the cops. Chaz. This way, Frank was shot down, but he is fine. He brings the bomb to the airport, but by the time he gets on the plane, Edward is already pointing a gun at her head. He told them to get off the plane with the bomb, then fly out quickly, and he is already here as a ticking sound. He goes ahead to check on it, and there it is, the bomb. Frank, you filthy son of a. Frank admits to hiding the bomb on the plane and confronting Bailey with the empty case, and demands $30 million for his plane and $20 million for not killing Frank. We really appreciate you watching. If you enjoy this video, please give it a like. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel with the notification bell because it is really important for us. Thank you.